Hi there, I'm Peter Taylor. I'm an author and project management speaker, perhaps best known for the #1 best-selling project management book, The Lazy Project Manager: How to be twice as productive and still leave the office early. I've also written other books, spoken about and led workshops on PMOs, project sponsorship, project branding, project fun and social project management. But today I'm speaking to you in my new role as the head of the Global PMO at Kronos Inc, a workforce management solutions provider.
Today, virtually every organization, business, school, government, healthcare provider faces a similar set of challenges. Challenges they have no other option but to meet. And while each organization has a unique set of needs, each also shares a similarly powerful yet frequently sub-optimized asset, their workforce. Managed properly, their workforce is the critical link to the competitive advantage and operational efficiency they seek. That's why businesses of all sizes, across virtually all industries, including more than half of the Fortune 1000, have turned to Kronos for critical workforce management solutions.
Wow, that's Kronos, a fascinating company based out of Boston that is leading the workforce management world. Which brings me to the role that I have in Kronos as head of the Global PMO. The Global PMO oversees some 200 project managers around the world who act as project custodians for nearly 3,000 projects per year in customer engagements that range from small to enterprise in scale. I joined Kronos in December 2014, excited by the opportunity to build and lead a truly global PMO and to help this billion-dollar business become even more successful through helping its customers optimize their workforce. Since joining, I've applied my own model of PMO design from my book, Leading Successful PMOs, which is published by Gower. To understand this approach, let's start with some very simple basics. I do try and present things as simply as possible. I know there are much longer and more complex definitions, but bear with me for a short while. A project, in my mind, is doing it the right way. Making sure the project is managed in the most efficient way in order to deliver the business benefits in the most productive manner. This is the role of the project manager. Following this logic, then a program is just doing it in the right order, starting with the right projects at the right time and making sure that they align effectively to bring about strategic change. And a portfolio is just a matter of doing the right things. That is, the right projects and programs possibly that are connected directly and indirectly to the business strategic demands. Simple. Okay, now let's extend this concept to the PMO itself. Regardless of what your PMO stands for, and we know the P can stand for many things: projects, programs, portfolio, etc. A PMO is, again based on my personal experience of building 4 PMOs so far and consulting in a few others around the world, about doing all the above with the right people. Even the very best designed PMOs populated with the wrong people will fail, absolutely. The first task of any PMO leader is to identify, attract and secure the best people with the correct balance of project experience and soft skills in order to be successful. This might be a challenge. The best people are often not the cheapest after all, but you have to get this right and win the argument for the value of this investment. So let's say you've achieved this and you have the best people on board. Now you have to develop a roadmap for your PMO. How do you go about this? Where do you start? And what do you need to consider? I always apply a model I refer to as the balanced PMO, focusing on the 5 Ps. This is something I developed when I built a PMO for Siemens some years ago. The 5 Ps are people, process, performance, promotion, project management systems. The issue I have seen with many PMOs is that the focus is anything but balanced. Often there is a heavy process-focused effort, which is important of course, but can easily disengage and demotivate the people, i.e. the project managers, which in turn leaves the PMO helpless and incapable of achieving anything. The 5 Ps models ensures that you at least consider all of the elements that make for a more balanced approach to building a good PMO. For sure, you might prioritize some components. You can't do everything on day one after all, but you can present the overall balanced roadmap so that people understand where you're heading. At Kronos, through input, that's workshops and discussions and surveys from the project management community and the executive management team, we have designed a balanced PMO that reflects our needs. Without going through all the detail, let's take a look at a few of these. Under the people heading for Kronos, it was important to get the whole career plan in place, balance the project manager levels around the world for consistency of delivery, to get people on the path to certification with the help through our friends here at IIL, and to enhance our onboarding process to get the best project managers in place with the right tools and skills. We had great people, but consistency was sometimes a challenge and variable customer experience feedback a reality. We had to understand why this was and put in place training and guidance to remove this inconsistency, or at least reduce it. Under the process heading, we needed to take a look at our methodology in place to ensure it was the best it could be to aid our project managers with the massive range of projects, from simple to complex, small to enterprise, on-premises to in the cloud, single location to multiple locations, and so on. In this world, one size certainly does not fit all. Now, all of this is driven by the keep it simple mantra. If it didn't help the project managers to be more successful, why was it in the methodology, for example? Under the project management information systems, it was decided this was a future focus. We have some tools and systems in place, and for sure we needed to develop some better ones, but for now there were other priorities. Getting the performance of the projects and the PMO on a path upwards was more important, as was promoting the value of project management through branding and success stories. This simple imagery of the 5 allows us to articulate the PMO roadmap and share our plans with all parts of the organisation and, of course, our customers. By considering all of the 5 Ps and balancing them out, we could be sure that the road that the PMO was now on was the right one. Of course, there are other aspects of the PMO that need to be considered. Type, model, physical versus virtual. We don't have time to delve into these right now. If you'd like to learn more, you can check it out on one of my websites. Here you can learn more, read a number of case studies, and hear more about my personal approach to PMOs. With the right people identified and with the balanced PMO roadmap in place, then it was now critical to get the professional project management community on board and committed. Without that commitment, then the global PMO was still doomed to failure. So how do we do this in Kronos? We did it through our first ever Global PM Summit. With the theme of Go Together, Go Far, 200 project managers gathered for a 4-day conference in Indianapolis in February this year. A massive undertaking, a project in itself, and a major commitment by Kronos as well, but one that I know will pay dividends in the months to come. With the help of trainers from IIL, external keynote speakers, entertainers and team building specialists, not to mention that lazy project manager guy, we enjoyed 4 days together to provide the best possible foundation for moving forward. And yes, there was also some good food, a few beers and some networking that helped. The key to the summit was community. Many project managers were unaware of how many other project managers there were out there around the world, how big their community really was, nor how much their collective experience there was that they could be shared amongst them. The focus of the summit was soft skills that would lead us all to higher levels of customer success and customer satisfaction. We invested in some critical development in communication skills, escalation management, expectation management, risk management and stakeholder management. I was delighted to see that after we have completed the end of summit survey looking at the experience of the attendees, that we scored an impressive 8.9 out of 10 for overall value. And we are now beginning the planning for the 2016 summit and have certainly set the bar very high for ourselves. For me, this was the perfect start to building the Global PMO, a great showcase for myself in my new role and an amazing way to meet and listen to most of the project managers from across the globe. Now, perhaps you don't have the opportunity for such a significant commitment to bring all of your project managers together, but even a virtual platform would work well. In fact, we are following up the summit with 2 virtual symposiums during the year to ensure our ongoing engagement with our project managers, together with a bi-weekly webinars that we call PM Pulse. These focus on key topics in time. So let me finish with 3 tips for you to consider when it comes to building your own PMO or project management community. These 3 tips should help you make sure that you don't end up as part of a group of PMOs that flourish briefly, shine brightly, and then fade and fail. First, Don't be the project police. Yes, discipline and control is all part of the remit of a PMO, but if this is the only role the PMO plays or is the perceived dominating function of the PMO, then the PMO will fail. Not only that, it will be a pretty unpleasant place to work. Remember the balanced PMO, especially the balance between people and process. The best PMOs get this balance just right. Process light, but with the appropriate level of governance and people supportive without doing their jobs for them. Secondly, would be the right sort of firefighter. You know, these guys spend most of their time trying to ensure that there are no fires in the first place. The whole rushing into blazing buildings and rescuing small kittens, it's important of course, but honestly they would much rather prevent the fire happening in the first place. And for your PMO, if all you do is put out fires, then again it's a pretty stressful and unrewarding place to be. In the end, this type of PMO will also fail. And finally, every PMO is different. Every PMO has to be what the organisation needs today, and the PMO needs to be flexible for what the organisation needs tomorrow. A PMO is not fixed. That's what makes it such an exciting role. This is a great quote from the Research for Leading Successful PMOs book I mentioned earlier. Don't let anyone tell you you have to be a certain way. Be unique. Be what you feel you need to be. I think this is a perfect summary for the best PMO and the best PMO leader. So good luck with your own PMO and project management community, and I hope to come back in the future to talk about how the Kronos project management community is developing. We have a great roadmap, but still a lot of work to do. And remember, be balanced in your approach to your PMO. Don't forget the 5 Ps. Don't be the project police. And do be the right sort of firefighter, the one who prevents the fires rather than great at putting them out. And you know what? Don't be afraid to be unique. This is exactly what your organisation needs. Thank you for your time, and I hope this has been of both interest and of value to you. Please feel free to connect to me on LinkedIn to share your own PMO and project community stories. And if you want to hear more, listen to my free podcast in iTunes. Just search for The Lazy Project Manager or Project Management under podcast and you will find me. Thank you for joining me.